Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Hey, Freaky friends! It's Michelle and Melissa from the Freaky Fridays podcast. We are sisters in separate states and love to talk about all kinds of spooky, freaky, and scary shit while drinking and laughing through our fear.
Join us Fridays as we delve into everything from the world of the paranormal to scary movies to creepy stuff we find around the internet. Subscribe to Freaky Fridays wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Sleep tight.
Make sure you leave the lights on.
Freaky Fridays is a proud member of the Podmoth Network. For more awesome pods, check out podmoth.network.
This podcast contains strong language and adult situations and may not be suitable for those who are easily offended. Welcome to the Fuck My Work Life podcast, where the work stories are real, the laughs are contagious, and most of us can agree that work sucks. So let's clock out and tune in.
Welcome back, fuckers, to another short coffee break episode. A shorty. I'm Kay.
I'm Jay.
And we've got a shorty.
We've got a shorty.
We've got a shorty for ya. Before we get into the topic of discussion, for this coffee break episode, we just want to say that we are proud members of the Podmoth Media Network. I don't know if it's officially the Podmoth Media Network, but the Podmoth Network, which has got about 20 podcasts that kind of interesting topics. So make sure you're checking out all those other shows. You can click the link to podmoth.network in the show notes and go check them out.
That's right.
We like them. They cool.
Yeah, they cool.
They super cool. I found some new favorite shows on there. So yeah, it's exciting.
Good.
And I don't know. I feel like, a little behind the scenes. We just recorded our last episode before this, so I feel a little flustered. I'm like, we've talked about everything. What's happening, Jay?
It's like Kay said, we just recorded our last episode, which was a fully. This is a shorty, and that one was a fully. Maybe we should call those chubbies.
Chubbies
this
and shorties.
This is a shorty, and that one was a chubby.
This one's a shower, and the other one's a grower. Or it would be the opposite way.
It would be the opposite.
Yeah, it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, I feel like the short one should be the
growers.
The grower. Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day. We are drinking green beer.
Green Coors Light, baby.
Green Coors Light. So we basically just put green food coloring in Coors Light.
Actually, blue food coloring.
Oh, yeah, blue, yeah.
Because we didn't have green.
Well, yours is really green now.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good.
We did the blue and yellow.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I put a couple drops of yellow.
Yeah.
Because we bought green food coloring, but didn't realize it was the gel.
It was gel. and I put it in my beer, and it just...
did not work.
No, it looked like rat turds in the bottom of my beer.
Green rat turds.
And I wasn't going to waste no damn Coors Light. So I drank it.
Did you swallow the turds?
I did.
All right. Well, way to go. You're a trooper. You can't waste that $1 beer. Less than $1. How much is a 12-pack of Coors?
Oh, it's more than $1.
Okay.
After taxes, it's like 15 something.
Oh, wow.
Here.
Yeah.
And in California, it's
a little more than $1
almost
a beer.
$16.
Okay.
So like $1.50 a beer. Right?
Still not bad. I don't know, $1 something. Something.
$1.33.
I'm not gonna. Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna math.
Yeah.
I don't care that much.
Fuck that shit.
I think too much during the day. I'm not gonna do it anymore.
We're recording on St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really a whole lot going on. We got so much rain here this week that our freeway got a sinkhole.
Yeah, that's some news.
So that's cool. So it's closed down for like 4 days.
Yeah. We're doing a 5K tomorrow morning, so
we
wanted to get our drink on a little early.
Yeah, so I don't, we don't want you guys to think we're like super fucking fitness people.
No.
We're walking that bitch.
Oh, yeah. It's like a work sponsored thing, and it's just fun to do. I have never once in my life run it. It's always walking.
Yeah. I've only done it once before.
Really? Only once?
Yeah, only once.
I feel like you've done it a couple times.
No.
You want to talk about the one time you did it?
Okay. So
It'll be a fun little story.
me and my sister,
Sister.
my mom and her husband were out of town, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. They were out of town. So the night before, me and my sister and Kay and my nephew went to, I don't know if my nephew went. He may not have, but we went to my mom's house, and she brought over a bottle of 100 proof vodka,
Mm-hmm.
and we got fuckered.
I had, I think, one small cocktail from that. You two drank the rest of the bottle.
Oh yeah, we drank the rest of the bottle.
And you were
And
up
it was-
till probably
it was
2,
a
3 a.m.
750 milliliter.
But
Like
still,
it was the
100
medium bottle.
100 proof. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you were drinking most of that.
Oh, I'm sure I was. I'm sure I was. So we got fuckered. And then the next day we went to the 5K.
I'm actually shocked you still went.
I'm not. I mean, like, I deal with it.
Mhm.
Okay. But we went to the 5K, and it was me and you walking it, and then our buddy came up behind us.
Just jogging up to us.
He started late because he's like super into fitness, and so he jogged the 5K.
Yeah.
And there was the last hill that you
Mhm.
go down in this 5K, and he caught up with us on that hill. And one of the first thing he said to me was like, "Damn, bro, you smell like vodka."
You were just sweating vodka out your pores.
And I was just walking. but that year it was pretty warm here
Yeah.
during the 5K.
Yeah. That was before climate change really hit us.
Yeah.
Because it was hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
I think that was also the same 5K where we, at the end of it, got
Oh, yeah.
soup. There was a beer garden, and you were only supposed to get 2 beers. And the brewery that was there pouring drinks did not care. And they just kept serving us, and everyone got very wasted.
Oh, we got so hammered.
Very, very wasted because
I can't believe I drove home.
no one should have been driving home that.
I
Please
mean,
don't drive drunk.
we took
anyone.
an
It's
Uber.
very bad. But yeah, it was probably the last time I've got that drunk because it was not fun.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever been that drunk.
No, but it was also, we did the 5K. There was nothing for me to eat at the end. Everyone else had sausages and shit that I couldn't eat. So at work, worked out, walked a 5K, no food in my system, and probably 4 or 5 beers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but on
For
a
you,
full
it's a
stomach,
lot.
that's
Well, I
pushing
was
it.
with you in spirit because I also did not eat that shit either,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was like
gross.
corned
sausages.
beef and cabbage, and I was like,
Oh.
I'm not fucking eating that.
Yeah.
Like their corned beef, you couldn't even smell. Like, it smelled like nothing.
Yeah.
The corned beef
Yeah.
did, and I was like, I'm not eating that shit. And the cabbage, fuck that. Like boiled cabbage, fuck off.
Fuck
I'm
off
not
with
eating
your
that
boiled
shit.
cabbage.
Like,
Yeah. So that was it was fun until it wasn't.
do you remember they cut us off?
Well, they ran out of beer.
Oh, well, they had beer left, but
For
it
the
was for the
servers,
people
yeah.
who were working it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they cut
Anyway.
us off. And so we took the shuttle back to our car, and I remember I had that fucking piece of shit Toyota Camry, and there was I remember taking the picture. There was 10 people
Oh
on
my
my
God.
Camry,
Yeah.
and everyone was so drunk, and we were like, dude,
Come back and party at our
I was
house.
like, my mom's out of town. Let's have a fucking barbecue at my house. And no one made it.
No. Everyone was gone.
I
Far
made it.
gone.
I was the only one who made it.
Yeah. But anyway, we're far more responsible now. Maybe.
Yeah, we're going to do the same shit tomorrow.
No, that is not happening tomorrow. They've wised up,
Fine.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've gone through all of that, the topic of discussion for this little coffee break is kind of horrible ways to be fired or laid off, let go.
Mhm.
And once again, we've posed this question on Twitter and Reddit. I think I also posted on Facebook and Instagram, but didn't get any replies there. All right, so I found this article on BuzzFeed. Everyone loves BuzzFeed, I guess. And it is called... Wow, okay, wait. This is the entire title of the article. 34 stories about people getting fired in the worst possible ways that literally made me so mad.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like,
By
so
Hannah
the title
Martyr.
is the paragraph.
Yeah. We will link to this article in our show notes because we're not going to read all 34. So if you want to check out the rest of them, you can follow the link and check it out. So this first one comes from NYC Girl 2014, and she told BuzzFeed, "The worst way I was fired was when I wasn't. I worked in a shoe store in college. I was hired the week before Halloween. In February, I left on a 2-week vacation, which they knew about when they hired me. As soon as I got off the plane at JFK, I texted my manager to let her know that I was back and asked when my next shift was. She texted me back, said she'd let me know, and I never heard from her again." I mean, talk about avoidance.
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
That's a pretty easy letdown. though.
Right?
So the next one comes to us from a waitress.
Is that it? Just says a waitress?
I was a waitress at a small restaurant in a small college town. I got fired when I finally had it out with the owner because he kept withholding people's tips, which is super illegal
Yeah.
for BS reasons like they were late, etc.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh.
I kept telling people their rights and he got mad at me, so I told him to fuck off. The restaurant folded soon after because I called the fire department and the health department because that place was disgusting.
I used to work in a bowling alley up front where admission and shoe rental is. The owner fired me because he thought that my face looked too, quote unquote, bitchy and scared the customers away. Instead of telling me, he asked my coworker to let me know why I wasn't scheduled anymore. The funniest thing is that my next job made sure I was in the front because I was, quote unquote, so welcoming.
Wow. I will say this with some of these things that we read. You got to take it with a grain of salt because even in right to work states where like they don't have to give you a reason for firing you, if that's the reason they told you, that is a fucking lawsuit.
Yeah.
Firing someone because they look too bitchy,
Yeah.
like that's a fucking lawsuit. And that was a lawsuit 20 years ago too.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows? They could have sued, but it's still the reason they were fired.
I was 21, 22 and had been working in retail on and off since I was 16. I was hired on for a summer retail position. They wanted me to even be a manager, but it was such a short amount of time that it didn't work out. They told me to ask questions, learn, etc. 2 weeks later, they fire me. Say I was asking too many questions and wasn't learning / completing tasks fast enough.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Ask a lot of questions, learn. Oh, you're not asking, or you're asking too many questions. You're fired. My boss fired me because he shouldn't have to have vegetarians around.
That there's a good man.
Whatever.
It's funny, we hear these stories like the one you just read about shouldn't have to have vegetarians around. And all I think of is Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
I don't think you understood what I meant. Bring me all the bacon
of your
eggs.
bacon and eggs. or the one where he's teaching the kids, the basketball team. And he's like, fishing for sport only. Fish meat is basically a vegetable.
Yeah.
On the day of my 90-day review at a merging law firm, the HR manager for the firm I was not employed by called me into her office and told me I just wasn't a good fit for Greg. Greg, my boss, never came into the office to say anything to me about why he was firing me. In fact, He didn't say a single word to me all day. He just hid in his office with his door closed like a coward the entire time I was being fired by a random woman that worked in my office.
Jeez.
There you go.
Greg does not have big balls. Look at the big balls on Bob. All right, the last one we're going to read from this article is, and finally, this person was fired because I asked a regular customer to stop demanding I smile. Yeah, I'll smile if I want to. Mother.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
So I actually have a good story
about being fired?
About being fired, yeah.
Okay.
So this again was when I lived in Vegas. I think a lot of my work stories are when I lived in Vegas because it was military, then Vegas, then here, and I've had the same job here since I lived here.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for an auto shop in Vegas, and it wasn't an auto shop where we did huge jobs. Like we didn't rebuild engines. We didn't do anything crazy like that. We changed tires. We changed oil. We changed transmission fluid. Just one of those shops. In these shops, you have these huge tanks in the back of the shop where when you dump old oil or old transmission fluid, this is where you dump them, and then once a week, a company comes and picks them up. I was pretty new at this shop. I had been there maybe 3 or 4 months, and I was just a tire buster. Mm-hmm. Like all I did was I busted tires, like I changed people's tires, and I did oil changes. And these huge tanks that were in the back of the shop, one of them, I don't know how old it was, but it was old. And it sprung a leak, and it was just a drip. But that drip overnight, like especially when after a day of dumping or 3 or 4 days of putting old oil in there, that tank, the weight, it would like you'd come in the next day and the floor around it would just be covered in oil. Our manager, it was a new manager, and he was a total piece of shit. He would have me and the other guy who busted tires. He would tell us, you need to go clean up the oil back there. Like you need to go clean up this oil. And so for months, we did this. We went back there every morning and we cleaned up this oil. And it got to the point where the oil within like half a day, like half of our shift, the oil would be coming out of that tank and spreading onto the floor. So overnight, when we would come in the next day, there were like 2 mechanics bays that had oil slick on them.
Yeah.
And he would constantly tell us, they're going to be fixing it soon. They're going to be fixing it. He wasn't fucking fixing it.
Yeah.
It got to the point where me and my coworker, we just started taking like the red rags. Anybody who works in a mechanic shop knows what the red rags are. We just started taking them and shoving them under this tank because there was like an inch and a half that this tank was off the floor. And we just started shoving them under the tank. And he found out
to slow the drip.
Yeah. To keep, when we got in the morning, it was okay because we cleaned the shop anyway. Like we went through and we mopped all the floors and we did all of that stuff. But halfway through the day, we have people are getting tires, people are getting flat repairs, people are needing oil changes. And we're basically like, we made money on these. Yeah. The people would tip us and we would have to stop all of our work, and our oil changes and our flat repairs would go to the mechanics. And so they would make the money on it while we spent 2 hours cleaning up all this oil. We were like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Like we're getting paid minimum wage. Fuck this. So we just started shoving rags underneath. It came to his attention when the company that drops off the rags and picks up the rags is like, hey,
missing a bunch of rags.
You're missing a bunch of rags.
Yeah.
And he saw it and he fired both of us. And he was like, he had only been at this store for a couple months. I mean, the manager before was gone, and then he came in. And so when I got fired, I called the district manager. And I was like, look, I get it. You have to back your store managers. I get it. But this is what's going on here. And this is what is happening. And if you are okay with me getting fired, then I'm going to go to the labor board with this, because not only should I not have been fired with this, you also have a serious problem with one of your oil tanks leaking.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's against violations
it's against
rules
all of the rules and laws and regulations.
Yeah.
I and the guy that I worked with, we got placed in a different store. We were able to keep our jobs, just not work at that store. And then like 2 months later, this guy was fired.
It took 2 months. Yeah.
He probably still didn't fix it.
Yeah, probably not. I don't have any getting fired stories. I've never been fired. I was laid off once, but we all knew it was coming because the company was acquired. So
yeah,
I'm just that good.
Yeah.
I just got lucky, I guess. All right. So we posed the question on how are you? Like, I think I put like insensitive or ridiculous ways that you were fired or let go on Reddit and on Twitter. And this one we got more responses on Reddit for.
This one comes to us from Reddit from I Cannot Get a Good Nick.
Wonder what that means.
It didn't happen to me, but a few of my colleagues were laid off from a former employer, cable company, in parentheses, and then hired back after management thought they could support. Once some of them came back, they were laid off again.
Oh, geez.
I was part of the second wave. To top it off, they only offered 2 weeks severance, contingent upon signing an agreement not to badmouth the company.
Fuck you.
And be available if they had any questions.
Okay, we're going to lay you off. You can't badmouth the company, but please be available to help us if we need it.
Yeah. I told them to go fuck themselves.
As you should.
They got hit with a class action and they settled a year later. I got more than I would have in severance as a result.
Good.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
The next one comes to us from Bill Mullen. I had a really bad on-the-job injury, and when I filled out a workers' comp claim and asked my company to pay for my medical, they immediately fired me.
Oh, geez. I feel like that's also a lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm guessing he probably, hopefully he sued and got paid.
Yeah.
Because this is America.
America.
And when you don't get what you want, you sue.
Yeah. Yeah.
For $45 million.
Ugh, gross. All right. This one is from Feature Envy. I was carrying an entire project myself at a small company. An entire data analytics module for our software. I was doing the back end, front end, and doing all the data transformation and visualizations in the data analytics software the company chose. And it had a big learning curve. I taught myself about data analytics and taught myself to use this software. Altogether, this was work that at a normal company would probably have been done by 5 to 10 people across 2 to 3 different teams. On top of that, I was also demoing it to customers as it was getting done. The day after I announced it was functional and ready to be checked in for some initial QC checking and revisions, they were like, okay, so the board capped our budget for devs and we're laying off half you guys at the end of the month. I did get some warning, I guess, but it's just so fucking shitty. I dumped so much of my time, even my free time, into doing the work of 10 people, and their reaction was, oh good, you're at a stopping point so we can get rid of you and stop paying you. I've been intentionally mediocre ever since. No more going above and beyond, no more extra hours, never dedicate more to a job than you absolutely have to. Your effort will not be rewarded, and companies do not value you. Yep.
That's right.
That goes back into our corporate bullshit episode last week.
That's like the quietly quitting.
Yeah.
They say you're quietly quitting because you show up to work and do what your job entails.
Yeah.
You're not going above and beyond.
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry, but what you hired me to do, I'm doing, and I'm quietly quitting.
Yeah. Yeah. there's no motivation to do a good job in most of these places because you get shit on for it.
Yeah. So the next story we have comes to us from Twitter, from the Doomsday Podcast. I just discovered your show. Great concept. It immediately made me want to share that my company just dissolved my department to save money. How they let me know was in a Teams meeting with my direct superior and HR. Instead of any other choice of words in the entire lexicon, they chose, "We are sadly abolishing your department."
Wow.
I got the call 5 minutes after an all-staff State of the Union discussing how great we're doing.
Oh my God. That's a fucking slap to the face.
You're the only people I could think of that would appreciate how that all played out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Jesus fucking
so
Christ.
typical too. We're having our best year ever.
We're destroying your department.
Yeah. It's abolished.
Pack your shit. The next one comes to us from @NerdDollface. I was let go with love and respect in quotations
Okay.
because they didn't want to discuss salary or a roadmap to move up. I was paid $30,000 less than the average after being there for 4 years. Damn.
That sucks.
That's fucking
brutal.
I mean, it doesn't matter how long you're there. If you're paid $30,000 less than the average in your position,
that's huge.
You're getting stomped on.
Yeah. Quit. Well, I mean, you were fired. Sorry, you were fired. But it was probably
fucking quit. Oh, you were fired.
It was probably for the best. All right, and the last one comes from Reddit. This is from Laptop Dragon. This didn't happen to me, but a lot of coworkers. Friday night, about 200 people lost their jobs. The company lost a contract and nullified all of their door cards / ID badges. Management didn't bother to notify anyone or have anyone at the building all weekend. I arrived on Saturday 5 a.m. for my shift as normal. I preferred this shift for parking spots. I was one of the first to arrive. As the day progressed, we noticed very few people coming in. A few coworkers went out for a smoke break. And in that time, about 30 people came through the door as they were all standing outside, locked out, not knowing what the fuck happened. Nobody knew at this point. The smokers' badges worked all day, and they kept letting people come in. Throughout the day, there was commotion, as those who got through couldn't log in, and they all figured it wasn't only a badge thing. About 100 people that day, and a lot more on Sunday, did the same thing. Those who smoked, or anyone who let anybody else through the door while they were opening it, also got fired.
Whoa, shit.
They said it was ghosting. So in one fell swoop, they fired about 1/5 of the entire workforce and all the smokers who worked on the weekends. Luckily for me, my desk was secluded, and I was one of the 12 out of 180 that stayed on board.
Damn.
Although we all started looking for employment elsewhere after that scenario.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's just fucking cold.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna let people go, fucking tell them. Like, don't just turn off their badges. Like, we have badges at work, and anytime they don't work, I'm like, oh, maybe I was fired.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fucked up.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So if this has sparked a memory of a time that you were fired shittily, is that a word? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
You can let us know on Twitter, Reddit. Follow us in those places so you can see what questions we're asking and get involved in the episodes that way if you've got a good thing to contribute. Remember to check out the Podmoth Network. Join our Patreon for some extra special things. Anything else?
Should we put our Discord in here?
It's in our show notes.
It's in our show
Yeah.
notes?
We got a Discord. You know, all the other social medias are kind of going to shit, but Discord's like a fun group of people. There are different topics, channels, I think they're called, with different topics that you can just get involved in the conversation, meet other listeners. And I think on that note, we hope you haven't been fired lately.
You're fired, fuckers.
You're fired.
You fired.
Blech. Bye, fuckers.
Bye, fuckers.
Thank you for listening to the Fuck My Work Life podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please follow, subscribe, rate, review, and tell your friends. Send your workplace stories to fmwlpod@gmail.com or call our rant line at 310-818-3273 for a chance to be featured on a future episode. For more fun, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at FMWLPod. You can also join our Discord community to chat with us and your fellow fuckers. We've got a Patreon where for $5 a month, you get early access to episodes, bonus content, and more. Grab yourself a t-shirt, pint glass, or yoga mat in our merch shop. All links can be found in the show notes. The Fuck My Work Life theme song is by Big Foss of the Chat Smash podcast. Remember, don't let the man get you down. Bye, fuckers.
Monkey, shut up! Blah, 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 blah.